There we go. Right. So another warm welcome to what's it really like to study tech at the university. We have three very kind student volunteers who have mostly been volunteered by other people to share their experiences with us. And I am really, really, really grateful to Emily, Tia and Christina. And I keep referring to them in that order because that's the way they show on my screen. So that's just the way we're going to go. It does not mean that Emily will be asked every single question first. However, I am going to ask Emily to start us off with introductions. So Emily and Tia and Christina, when we come to you, will you let us know, obviously, what your name is, but your degree that you're studying, what university at, and what year you are in as well?
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm studying maths and computer science at Strathclyde and I'm in my final year.
Fantastic. And Tia?
I'm Tia. I'm studying ethical hacking at Abertay and I'm in my final year as well.
Fantastic. And last but not least, Christina.
Hello everyone, I'm Christina. I am in my third year and I do software engineering at the graduate apprenticeship at Glasgow Uni.
Right, thank you. So I'd like to explore that one particular angle first, if that's all right, Christina. So a graduate apprenticeship, how does that work? Because as far as I'm concerned, working and university, both pretty time consuming. So how does that work for you?
So when you join the degree, the graduate apprenticeship, you have to be with a partner in the industry. In the first 2 years, you spend a lot of time at university. So you spend 2 8-week blocks per year to basically get all the fundamentals for computing and software engineering. And then the rest of the time, particularly in the summer, you spend with the partner. So you are in the workplace just like a normal software engineer, and you work and you learn on the job, basically. You learn at the workplace. And then in third and fourth year, you take 2 days out per week to go to university and do the normal traditional degree courses. And then the rest of the time you spend with at the workplace doing work and doing projects for, like a company, for your employer. So that's how the split works.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah, definitely a very busy person. Something to stress when it comes to CVs and that kind of thing. Absolutely being able to I was going to say multitask. That's not the right word, but hopefully you know what I mean. Going in sort of almost in the opposite direction. So Tia, when we were chatting yesterday, I only got to meet these fantastic volunteers yesterday. And when we were chatting, you said that you didn't necessarily have a typical route in to university. Would you be happy to share a little bit about that and what that meant for you?
Yeah, definitely. So originally when I started off at high school, I decided I wanted to be a doctor. That was my absolute dream. I wanted to be a doctor. Started doing national fives and things. That's when I realised my maths wasn't as good as I thought it should be. Didn't get what I needed then, and I was told, no, you're not going to be a doctor. So that was me. Life was ruined. Was it going to be my dream job? And my computing teachers, thankfully, were absolutely fantastic. They're like, don't be so silly. Your life's not over. It's only just starting. Try this. You're good at it. So done computing. Absolutely loved it. Done it to advanced higher. Sat on my exams. Still didn't have enough grades to get into uni. So again, I was like, life's over. I'm going to be stuck in a dead-end job that I hate. So I applied for college instead. Got into college. Did that for 2 years. And then that's when I found out about ethical hacking through Chelsea Jarvie. She was absolutely fantastic. Was like, this would be a great fit for you. Go and do it. And here I am 4 years later. So yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing to stress as well, that lots of things to explore. I wanted to be an architect. Actually, it turns out I'm now a technical architect, a slightly different approach. But yeah, not everything quite goes exactly how you plan sometimes, although I definitely didn't have as much stress, I think, as you did. Emily, last but not least, in terms of first questions, when did you decide that you wanted to study computing and maths at university?
So I kind of had like a similar thing to Tia in a way, because in my final year of A-levels, so this was like final year of school, final year of college, I had applied for a degree in business and marketing. So I put all my options out, got all my offers, and then like just suddenly a whole switch. I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I realized I like my love for, because I did maths and computing as part of my A-levels, and I just really enjoyed them and everything. And I was good at them, and I was and then I was like, I want to do that. And then I had a bit of a freak out because I was like, I've already put my options in. How am I going to change to do a degree I want? So I had to like revoke all my options and just apply for one. So it was a big risk opportunity, but this is what I wanted to do. And so I set out and did it, and no regrets.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think no regrets is just a brilliant way to put it. I think that's fantastic. In terms of that no regrets, and I am going to come straight back to you, will you stay in tech? What are your plans?
Yeah, for sure. I really want to go into data science because, well, my degree is maths and computing, so it kind of uses both. I've always just been interested in like data and how it works in like the real world, and mixing that with AI and everything. It's all just really interesting, to be honest.
And Tia, your degree is pretty vocational in the ethical hacking side of things. Will you stay?
Absolutely, yeah. So the title is ethical hacking, but we do things like digital forensics. We look into system internals, cybersecurity. So there's lots of different routes we can go into. So for example, the jobs I'm applying for just now, I'm applying for risk and compliance, digital forensics, a lot of public space as well. They've got a lot of stuff that's tech related, and they're saying as long as it's got some sort of computing in it, you can apply for it. So yeah.
Brilliant. So that's 2 out of 3. Christina, are you going to stay as well?
Yeah, I think I will definitely stay. I've been lucky enough to, already be working with a company. So the progress there, and I've been working on projects for clients already, which is obviously a great thing for CVs, and also, to learn new things, to experience how the real world is. So yeah, I think I'll definitely stay.
Excellent. That's fantastic news for us, for the industry. I've got some inspirational role models already. Fantastic. I'm going to ask a tricky question now, and that's about maths. Now, I have to say that as I loved maths, right, and I weirdly got better at it. Some parts of it still can't add up or divide or anything, but in terms of mathematics, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was like puzzles. And that simplifies it. It's nowhere near as simple as that. Didn't mean it to be like that. However, I think there is this perception that is really important in tech. Now, I know it absolutely can be for parts of computing science, and obviously, Emily, if it wasn't important, it wouldn't you'd struggle for your for having it as a joint honours. But how much has mathematics really featured and been really important to you? And I don't know, Emily, I'm going to throw that one out to you because obviously maths, you started with it. So let's go with that.
Yeah, well, for my course, it's important. It's like how it works is I do 3 modules on maths and 3 modules on computing. But if you're thinking of just going down the computing route, all the computing classes don't have a lot of maths in them at my uni. There's like parts, there's always aspects in like modules, but it's never heavy. And as long as you have like a base mathematical knowledge, then you'd be perfectly fine.
Fab, thank you. And I just ask it because I know that I've heard it's really off-putting sometimes. Tia, obviously maths was, that's something, you got your national 5s, you're like, maybe not. But clearly you're proving that it's not essential.
Yeah, so I'm actually severely dyscalculic, so it's essentially like dyslexia, but with maths. I wasn't actually diagnosed until I got to uni, so I hadn't realised that was the issue the whole time. Luckily enough, we don't really do a lot of maths in ethical hacking. So you have your maths for like your binary calculations and your subnetting, but you're not assessed on it at all. And I've managed to get through at least 6-8 years now of tech. I've been really bad at maths. I've still managed to get it, and I still like get A's and B's, so it's definitely not a barrier.
Fantastic. Has the experience been the same for you, Christina?
Well, I did A-level maths, so I was always very mathsy, and physics as well. But the good thing with the apprenticeship is that a lot of people are a bit older, so they're not just school leavers, they're in their late 20s. So they know, the university knows that, maybe their maths is not, super fresh. So they offer an additional course during the summer before the first year, where can you refresh the basics that you need, basic calculus, basic also like that. So I feel like if someone needs the help, it's there, it's available. So it shouldn't be, something to make people not consider going into tech. Absolutely not.
Fab. And I've got another awkward question, but it is because of the Ada Scotland Festival, and part of that is really about encouraging girls, young women to consider STEM. Actually, it's really important that everyone does consider it. Not everyone's going to choose it, but we want everyone to, but particularly young women and girls. Are there many young women in your courses? Does it matter? How about I throw this one at Tia first?
Yeah, so actually, I'd say in general, there's not as many girls as there would be in like non-STEM like courses, but that's expected. But the girls that are on it, we're all like super friendly with each other. We've all got our group chats. We work really well. We actually find that the girls excel more than the boys. And we've been told by our lecturers that girls tend to be better hackers just because we think differently. We don't think the same way as boys do. And especially when we do team working, we find that having a mix of girls and boys, you get much more out of it rather than just being one girl and 6 boys. You have a good mix. And it helps a lot to have that.
Yes, I feel like I could just package up what you've just said and tell that to other folks. You know, one of the really good things about diversity is that we do think differently. And there's so many different aspects to diversity as well. It's not just about our gender. It could be the way our experiences as we were being brought up. And there's some things that are really hard to classify. That's not just the color of your skin, and they're not necessarily as I was going to say as binary. Obviously, skin color isn't binary either, but you know what I mean. And one of the things about diversity that's really good is that we have to work a bit harder to work together, but normally that means we get better results. And I think in security particularly, that's so important these days with all the social engineering that goes on. Anyway, that's just my perspective. I should be quiet, and we're here to listen to you. Christina, how are things from a woman perspective in where you're studying?
Yeah, so I'll start by echoing what Tia said, where the girls are on it and the girls are very friendly with each other. This is the same for my course. So we actually have a graduate apprenticeship women network set up. So all the girls across all the years of the apprenticeship we have our own little community, and we have events and we can chat anytime on Teams, which is obviously really great. So again, the university knows that obviously stereotypically there's more guys than girls and more boys than girls, but at the end of the day, they try to help to kind of bridge that gap a little bit. So I haven't found it's been an issue at all in my courses. So yeah, again, shouldn't put off people from joining tech and studying tech.
Fab, that is also good to hear. Emily, last but not least on this particular question.
Yeah, it's the same for me as well. All the girls on my course are super friendly. We all help each other whenever we need. It's like I think about 10% are females in my computing classes, which sounds a bit daunting, but everyone's just really friendly. And I have loads of guy friends, so I'm used to just being around guys a lot. But I also just meet other females at uni I do women's basketball. So it's like you can meet other people through other aspects, but everyone on my course is super friendly. And as well in groups, like usually from my experience, I'm usually the only girl in a group, but that's not necessarily the worst thing, because everyone's super friendly, and even though they're like it's just loads of guys, they're just really nice. Like you don't feel, I don't know what the right word is, like belittled at all. Like everyone's just really friendly.
Again, really good to hear. It was a long time ago, but my experiences were similar. So there weren't that many young women in the courses. It changed a little bit depending on what sort of things you were studying, but largely everyone was really pretty friendly. You just get on with it, but actually in a really positive way. And we can learn so much from one another actually as well, which is really fantastic. So that's two of the awkward questions. One of the things I wanted to know a bit more about is how you work together. So are there a lot of group activities? Is there an awful lot of individual learning, or a bit of a mix of both? Christina?
I would say for me, it's a very 50-50 situation. So for every course, you would have potentially a group assignment that could be groups of 5 or 6, or it could be just pairs. It's you and another person. And we also have some individual assignments, some individual work, because obviously when you do your coding assignments, most of them, your labs will be individual. So I think it's a very good mix. And I think if you prefer one or the other, you'll still find, a part you enjoy. So yeah, that's been my experience at least.
Fab. And Emily, how about you?
Well, because I do my maths course, there isn't much group work because there's not much group work you can do really with maths. But from computing and from my computing peers that just do computing, so they usually have 2 group projects a week, a semester, whereas I only do about 1 a semester. But often they're they're either the whole semester or they'll be like small ones that you do in your group. They're all quite fine. Everyone's like usually good and on it. You just have to keep on it in your groups. Otherwise, some people might, just not do any work.
Yeah, and that so can translate into the professional world as well sometimes. Christina nods her head. I'm going to ask Tia to answer that question, but just to remind folks, if you've got any questions, feel free, just pop them in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get to them as well. So Tia, group work, much of it? Not very much?
There's not too much like assessed group work. It's very mainly coursework assessed. So most of it is individually assessed, but people don't hesitate to help you out if you need anything. So you might find that in the Hack Lab, you'll sit as a team and you'll go through it and they say, right, okay, this is how to do it. And then you go away, do your screenshots and write it up. So we do have an assessed for the full year, you do like a group project and then you deliver that project, which is really fun. So it's a full thing of like team leaders, and you have like, you essentially have to build it from scratch and deliver it as a team. So it's quite interesting to see how it work in the real world. So, but yeah, definitely, it's really fun.
Good, excellent. I'm really pleased to hear that. Right, let's go around the rest of my questions. Next, what's your favorite thing about it? So what's your favorite thing about what you're doing, or the potential of what you could be doing as well? Emily.
Mine, one thing I enjoy the most is the balance of my course, to be honest. It's like, because maths and computing, because then I'm not doing so much of each. But in particular for computing, I like the lab days. So there'll be like a group of us, like we may be working on individual projects, but we'll just go to the lab, spend like a few hours in there just next to each other, helping each other out, just getting the project done in time. And I just really like that atmosphere of just everyone just there, encouraging you.
Brilliant, excellent. Christina, your favorite thing?
I'd say my favorite thing is how creative computing can be. So you have this vague idea of what you need to build, either for a client at my job or for a project, and you have this end goal, and then you have to slowly start thinking how you're going to achieve that. And sometimes say, oh, actually that might not work, or okay, why don't we try this? So it's really, I really enjoy the whole thinking process and how it goes from nothing, a blank screen, to something that works. And when it works, it's so satisfying, and so it's a great feeling. So I think the creativity is the biggest thing for me.
Love it. And people don't think tech is computing is creative, or as in those people who are not in the industry tend to think it's not. And actually, there's so much that is creative. I think you will find that as well, Tia. So your favorite thing, Tia?
It's probably the fact that it's constantly changing. It's not stagnant. It's not like history. It's never going to change. It's constantly changes. You have to be on the ball all the time. So something that could have been that way yesterday could be completely different today. Especially with cybersecurity, you're constantly having to reevaluate threats and like threat models, and it's always updated. So yeah, it's probably that, which I find really interesting and fun.
Yeah, an opportunity to learn and learn
Yeah.
and learn. Yeah, indeed, fantastic. Well, we have a question from Alice. So Alice has asked, what do you find difficult in the courses, and do you have any tips or tricks? So I'm trying to do it in random order, but I don't know if I do keep picking the same people in the same order. So I'm going to go straight back to you, Tia. What do you find difficult? Do you have any tips or tricks?
It's probably, I shouldn't be admitting this, especially applying for jobs and things, but I am the world's worst procrastinator. I have like so much coursework to do, and then I'll just be like, oh yeah, I'll do maybe a bit of Facebook, maybe a bit of Twitter, I'll go on YouTube a little bit. Or I'll do the coursework, or I'll go completely off track and be like, oh, this looks fun about it. In terms of that, I use like blockers and things on my websites. So I only get 15 minutes at a time. I use Pomodoro as well. So I set myself a target to do within 15 minutes, and I'll take a 15-minute break. Things like that definitely help. I'd say that's the most difficult thing, because in the course you get a lot of help from the lecturers. Nothing's truly difficult. If you're really struggling, they're so open, you can go and ask them, and they're more than happy to sit down and explain it. So yeah, most difficult thing is probably procrastination.
Love it. I definitely see some of that in me. Emily, what's the most difficult things or in the courses that you're studying, and tips and tricks?
Well, I can't think of anything particular in my course, but there's a couple of times where I've like struggled with a thing, like especially for my uni's quite good when it comes to maths, where we have a maths help center that meet up like every day, like between, I think it's like 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You could just go to this classroom and go get help, which is really helpful. And also for computing, there's like labs always open, there's always people in there, there's always people willing to help. Like, so you might find something difficult, but there's always someone out there to help you. So if you just email the uni, get in contact with them, or like you get tutors that you can contact as well. Like there's so many helping hands ready to help you out.
Very useful to know. I think that's, everyone wants you to be successful, don't they? Right, it's in everybody's best interests. I don't know if that's a very good use of grammar, but we'll move on. Christina, what do you find difficult in the courses? Any tips and tricks?
I'd say for me, a big thing is time management, because obviously now that I'm in third year, I have to balance working and going to university kind of within the week, doing both, whereas before it was one or the other. So I think, yeah, because obviously, as Tia said, computing science changes a lot. Sometimes you have to, keep up with everything that's going on. And there's all this information thrown at you. Oh, you can also use this library, you can use this. So you have to keep up. And kind of, you can't leave it until the last minute, basically, because all the information is gonna, pile up. So I think, yeah, time management and Pomodoro I also use is quite good. Just basically keeping up to date with what you have to do and all the information being given to you by your tutors and from the industry. I think that's the most important thing.
Fab, thank you. I've just written down Pomodoro because I suspect I could benefit from that as well. So there you go. We have one last question. I think we've got 3 minutes left, and I suspect this will probably be our last one. So could you please give more details about your modules and the practical projects you've worked, i.e. what exactly do you study or do? I don't know if each of you can do that in a minute, but let's give that a go. So Tia, I'm going to pick on you again for the first on this one.
Yeah, so essentially the first half in our 4 years is generic computing. So it's like networking, C++ programming. We do one module, which is intro to security. So we get to choose our own project to look into. So I did bad USBs, which goes into social engineering. Malicious hardware, you pop it in, it does something bad, like runs a script that it shouldn't be. Third and fourth year starts to look more into like web hacking, system hacking, network hacking. And then fourth year is very much all about AWS and your honours project. So yeah.
Brilliant. In a minute. Fantastic. Well done. Emily, can you manage it in a minute?
Yeah, so similar to Tia, the first 2 years are kind of basic computing. So even if you're not that strong of a coder, it is basically from the beginning. So it's really helpful. Recently, I did some web app as a module, and also an AI module, which was coding games that had a bot do the most optimal moves. So, but that's more of like a third year, fourth year kind of thing. But the first 2 years are basic knowledge. So if you're not that strong with your knowledge, then it's fine. They help you out.
Yeah, that's the thing, because not everyone will actually join those degrees from having done much computing in the classroom, considering actually there's not that many computing teachers, particularly in Scotland. I can't speak for England and other parts, but I know in Scotland we struggle a little bit with that. Christina,
So
the modules,
yeah.
what do you do?
First year, second year, you do all the basics. You can go into the course without any programming knowledge. I had very little programming knowledge when I started. And then at the same time, when you work in the summer with your company, you start learning about their code base and their clients and how the company works. And then the third and fourth year, your projects and your dissertation are based on your company. So you speak to your manager, you decide what project you want to do in the workplace, and then you can pick your modules from all the computing science available ones at the University of Glasgow, that even if you don't do the apprenticeship, you will still do them. So you join everyone else doing computing science. But yeah, that's pretty much the split.
Fantastic. Hopefully that was enough for there. I mean, there's obviously more that you can find out by having a little Google about the different university and the content of the courses, but we have reached the half hour. There's so much more I want to ask you, but we have come to the end of our time. I want to thank the three of you so much for just sharing with us, for being honest and open. I think that's really important. Hopefully, you've either encouraged somebody who's listening or somebody who will listen to the recording to consider, if they haven't been all that sure about what they want to do. It's a brilliant career. There's so much you can do. It always changes. It always changes. You can really help people. The outcomes of tech can be fantastic. So all the very best for your studies. I know you're starting the year at the moment, roundabout early in the year. For those of you who will have finals at the end, for good luck for that. For if you got a little bit longer, well, even though, you know, the coursework never goes away. So yeah, all the best. Good luck. Thank you for joining. I really, really appreciate the time that you've taken to share. And I'm going to stop waffling and let everybody go. Thank you hugely. Thank you to our audience. Without you, we wouldn't have a session. Bye-bye.
Thank you.